I'm Ruth Chantry, co-owner and farmer at Common Good Farm.
I'm Everett Lundquist, and also a co-owner of Common Good Farm.
First off, can you share a little about the background of your farm?
What we do here is we're a diversified, small mom and pop farm. We have laying hens, about anywhere from 450 to 700, a CSA, what else? An annual plant sale we sell at farmers market, some wholesale to restaurants and the food co-op in Lincoln. We got cattle, pastured pork, so a lot of different things that work together on the farm. And we're also certified organic and biodynamic.
What is the history behind the biodynamic movement?
A little bit of the history of biodynamics is it goes back to 1923. Some farmers familiar with the work of Rudolf Steiner came to him and asked him to give these lectures on how they could help what they saw as an ailing agriculture. They saw that the animals weren't as healthy, they saw crops were not thriving as well. And alfalfa fields, they would have they could harvest them for 20 years, and the number of years that the field would be viable was going down more and more. So Steiner gave these lectures on kind of how to bring health to agriculture, and he has a very broad scope of things. A little bit of a different perspective on the world, and brought in things that may seem unrelated, but in the end have relationship to health and agriculture.
Can you go into a little more detail about what it means to be certified biodynamic?
So beyond meeting the organic certification requirements, you have to use the biodynamic preparations, the compost preparations, the field sprays for at least a full 2 years.
All of them.
Yeah. So, and then 10% of your ground has to be set aside for diversity, and it's encouraged that is kind of enhanced diversity, not just like, oh, I'm going to set this little spot aside and just let it go. You're going to actually plant flowers that the beneficial and pollinator insects need, and foster their populations. There's no prohibited materials obviously can be used, so like synthetic insecticides or herbicides. Livestock is encouraged to be a part of the farm, and that's a part of keeping that self-contained system going.
Can you give some specific examples of certain things you do to be biodynamic on your farm?
So what makes biodynamics unique is the biodynamic preparations, for sure. There are two what we call horn preparations. One has manure that's placed in the horn, and then the other has crushed quartz or silica placed in the horn. And those preparations, the horn manure is used as a soil spray, and it's can be thought of as an inoculant of sorts, but I'd say it's more than that, because you're bringing kind of the influence of the manure in a very unique way to the soil. And the silica spray is more geared towards the plant foliage or sprayed up into the air, and it has to do with how plants utilize sunlight and photosynthesis abilities of the plant.
Some of these preparations may seem kind of far-fetched. Can you explain some of the scientific truths that have been found behind these?
One of the things that really jumps into my brain is the roots on plants that are grown in biodynamic soil have 50% more these tiny root hairs. Every plant has these kind of major roots that go out, but then around that root, then there's these little root hairs. And they're greater, 50% greater on biodynamically treated plants. Now, who cares? Except the reason why that's significant is that those tiny root hairs is where there's, you could say, a dialogue between the plant and the soil. And that's where the exchange happens, the symbiotic relationship between soil microbiology and plant nutrition. So say there's phosphorus in the soil that the plant can't get to. Well, there's a certain bacteria that can access that phosphorus, but the bacteria can't live without sugar. Well, the plant's a sugar manufacturer, I mean, with photosynthesis. And so what happens is that the plant kind of feeds the bacteria this sugar that they're getting from the sun. And the bacteria then feeds the plant this phosphorus. And that exchange happens on these root hairs. And so the plant has a greater 50% more ability to access nutrients within the soil than organic or conventionally fertilized soils.